Chris, how does aesthetic cognitivism give us a fresh view of reality broadly or the human psyche in specific?
Well, aesthetic cognitivism is a theory about the value of the arts, that according to which the arts are valuable because they can enhance human understanding of reality. So among the other things that the arts do, and the arts do many things for human beings, one of the things that the arts can do is help us to understand things better. And so aesthetic cognitivism is simply gives that answer to the question of what is the value of the arts. Not the only answer one can give, but it's what aesthetic cognitivists argue, and in fact frequently argue that this is one of the most important things that the arts can do. And it explains why we value the arts as much as we do.
What are some specific questions within that context that you could ask?
Within aesthetic cognitivism? Well, I think it's most likely that through engagement with the arts, people come to a better understanding of themselves, of human nature, of the human condition, of human experience, and of moral and spiritual concepts. That those are the sorts of things that many people would argue that the arts are the primary means through which, or context within which, they come to an understanding of those things.
What are some of the functions of art? Now, we're not asking the question, what is art? Because that's a whole world in itself. But when you refer to art within the context of aesthetic cognitivism, what do you mean?
Well, we're very broad-minded about that. So there's visual arts and music, and theater and dance, but we even think of it as encompassing things like design and fashion, even architecture, which is more traditional, or even the culinary arts. These are all contexts in which people experience something that we could describe as art. Now, we're not really particularly interested in, aesthetic cognitivism per se is not particularly interested in what you might call the descriptive question. What is art? So we're not concerned to define that. We don't start there. That's an interesting question. But a better question is to ask, we think, what is the value of the arts? And that's the question that aesthetic cognitivism is trying to answer. So along with other things art is valuable for, it's valuable for enhancing our understanding.
Now, one approach says that art is valuable because it has had an approach of causing human beings to work together better, or to have better appreciation, or to enhance their fitness, as sort of as an operational kind of definition. But you seem to go beyond that, that arts are a possible window into a whole different way of seeing reality.
That's right. I mean, that's fundamentally what aesthetic cognitivism is about. Now, there may be some other effects of engagement with the arts that are important for human beings and human development. That it may be that the arts can have a transformative effect on people to make them more cooperative, develop certain virtues, and so you may come to an understanding of a virtue, but it also may confront you with an exemplar, someone that you then you seek to emulate, and that's something that you encounter.
Or it can be disruptive and force you to think differently than you have in the past, and therefore be a positive contribution, even though it's not pleasant.
Yeah, exactly, and that would be one very important kind of effect, because the arts, engagement with the arts, can alter your perspective. So aesthetic cognitivists argue that the movement is from art to experience, not the other way around. So you encounter the arts, you have an engagement with the arts, and that changes your perception of reality. It can change the way you see things. It can give you a different perspective, which in a sense alters your reality. Of course, reality itself isn't altered, but you see things you didn't see before.
Now, the alternative view is that the arts are almost like an epiphenomenon, the foam on the waves, as it were, that the waves are the real reality and the art is sort of kind of floating on top of that. But you're saying that arrow of causation can be reversed.
Reversed, right, exactly. So that your perception of even fundamental categories like space and time not to mention, your perspective on a concept or on an event that can change, or something like the French Revolution, or something of that sort. So in that sense, it alters your understanding, not in the way that arguments do. So the way the arts work is going to be different.
Right, sure.
So they have to be understood on slightly different terms than the way you would understand, a straightforward study of knowledge production in a different context.
Now, you and I have some friends who are trained in the sciences, maybe cognitive sciences, who would say that the argument that aesthetic cognitivism makes about the primary importance of the arts and seeing a reality is, to be charitable, a pre-scientific way of looking at the world. This was the magical world that gave explanations to things, but is really no longer valid. There are things we don't know, but those things are only accessible to science.
Yeah. Well, I think the cognitivists straightforwardly would just reject that statement. It's hard to argue against them. That kind of a delimitation of what can be known and what we can know. But if you start from the assumption that we maybe grasp something like 1% of the kinds of realities out there that are affect us, particularly moral and spiritual truths, it would be premature in the extreme to limit the methods by which we access those truths in a way that privileges the sciences in that way.